Pedro Jimeno from the 90-Day Fiancé franchise has recently cryptically addressed rumors about dating Sophie Sierra. Pedro originally came to the United States to marry his now ex-wife, Chantel Everett. After spending 6 years together, he asked for a divorce. Following the separation in 2022, Pedro shifted his focus on his career in real estate to achieve his American dream. Over the past 2 years, Pedro has reached significant milestones, such as owning a luxury car and improving his physical fitness. Additionally, he has excelled in real estate, becoming the top producer at his workplace for 3 consecutive years. Pedro sparked rumors of a romantic relationship with his 90-Day Fiancé co-star, Sophie, who is currently married to Rob Warren, in March 2025. Pedro posted cryptic Instagram stories alongside Sophie, leading fans to speculate that he was visiting her in Austin, Texas, and dating her. However, Pedro has apparently since denied any romantic involvement with Sophie. He posted a video via @Vinny_and_Mimi, titled "Single with 2 cats and no kids at 30 be like," showing a man walking down the road enjoying his food. The video included the song "Walking on a Dream" by Empire of the Sun, with lyrics that reinforced Pedro's message of being single. What Pedro's current relationship status means for his future with Sophie. Pedro and Sophie may have broken up after a short dating period. Pedro reposted the video on his Instagram story because he found it relatable. He has 2 black cats and is in his early 30s with no children. Pedro is still single and proud of the life he has built in the United States. He enjoys the little moments and celebrates each milestone. Pedro likely wants to clarify to his fans that he isn't dating Sophie and hopes to put an end to any rumors. By sharing this post, Pedro wants to reaffirm that he is single and happily living his life as a cat dad. While Pedro's message reveals that he's single, it doesn't provide much information about his connection with Sophie. It's possible that he was dating his British co-star until recently. He may have spent some time with her and realized they weren't compatible. Pedro has consistently voiced his desire to have children at a later time rather than in the near future. In contrast, Sophie seems eager to become a mother despite her fertility issues. They may have dated for a while and decided not to continue pursuing a relationship after realizing they have different goals. Our take on Pedro's claim that he isn't in a relationship. Pedro might still be seeing Sophie Sierra. Pedro's message may also serve as a way for him to portray himself as single. There is a slight chance that he's still dating Sophie, but might prefer to keep it a secret and save the reveal for a potential spin-off appearance. Pedro and Sophie could be featured in a 90-Day Fiancé spin-off in the future. Therefore, they might be trying to keep their story under wraps and avoid spoiling their upcoming TV journey. Similar tactics were used by previous 90-Day Fiancé franchise cast members, such as Veronica Rodriguez and Jamal Menzies. Unraveled Hearts: The Pedro and Sophie Chronicles. Chapter 1: A New Beginning. The Texas sun beat down on the city of Austin, casting long shadows over the busy streets as Pedro Jimeno wandered through the vibrant downtown district. He wasn't here for long. The allure of the city, its promise of something new and exciting, had lured him to this unfamiliar terrain. Having arrived from the Dominican Republic years ago, Pedro had experienced the highs and lows of life in America. From the uncertainty of his marriage to Chantel Everett, to the incredible highs of success in the real estate industry. He had come a long way since then, but the ghosts of his past seemed to still linger, whispering in the background. The breakup with Chantal, one that had been broadcast for the world to see, had shaken him to his core. He'd never quite anticipated that his life would be dissected and discussed by millions of strangers. But that was the nature of the world now. Fame, real or manufactured, followed you wherever you went. Still, as painful as it had been, Pedro had learned something vital from his time with Chantal. He had to focus on himself. He had to keep moving forward. It was in that moment of self-reflection that he met Sophie Sierra. Chapter 2. The Spark. It was a late summer evening when Pedro met Sophie at a mutual friend's party. Sophie, with her confident smile and undeniable charm, had caught his eye almost immediately. She was different from the women he had been involved with before, independent yet not closed off. A woman with a story of her own, and one who carried her own struggles with grace. Sophie had her own reality show fame from 90 Day Fiancé, but there was something raw and unfiltered about her, something Pedro had yet to find in many of the people around him. She wasn't shy about her ambitions, her dreams, or even her personal challenges. She had spoken openly about wanting children in the future, despite facing fertility struggles. Pedro had always thought about kids too, but more in a distant, long-term sense. The idea of being a father hadn't felt real yet, not in the way it did for Sophie. Over time, their shared experiences on the show brought them closer. They'd start texting, sharing memes and inside jokes. The connection, initially innocent and playful, slowly morphed into something more complex. Pedro, ever the private person, was hesitant at first. He wasn't ready to put himself out there again, especially after his public divorce. But Sophie understood that part of him. She'd been through the pressures of having her life scrutinized, and she had learned to play the game of keeping things close to the chest. There was an understanding between them that sometimes silence spoke louder than words. Chapter 3. The Rumors. By March of 2025, the rumors had started to swirl. Pedro and Sophie had posted cryptic Instagram stories together, seemingly confirming that they had spent time together in Austin. The images were blurry, a shadowy figure sitting next to her, their arms casually touching. It wasn't enough to prove anything, but to fans who had been following both of their journeys, it felt like a confirmation. The internet exploded with speculation. Had Pedro found love again? Was Sophie his new match, the person he was finally ready to settle down with? Social media ran wild with theories, some optimistic, some skeptical. The fans wanted to see it, a romance that, much like the roller coaster ride of Pedro's previous marriage, would make for juicy television. But just as quickly as the rumors started, Pedro shut them down. He posted a cryptic video titled, "Single with 2 cats and no kids at 30 be like," showing a man walking down the road with a carefree smile, enjoying the simplicity of life. The video was lighthearted, almost whimsical, with the song "Walking on a Dream" by Empire of the Sun playing in the background. Pedro, dressed casually, seemed to be embracing his newfound freedom. The text accompanying the video was clear. He was single, content, and embracing his life as it was. Yet that message only fueled the flames. Fans were now left wondering, had Pedro and Sophie ever been together? Or was this a way for him to throw off the scent of the media circus that surrounded his every move? Chapter 4. The Unspoken Truth. Behind the scenes, Sophie was going through her own whirlwind of emotions. She had always dreamed of becoming a mother, but life had a way of complicating things. Her fertility issues weighed heavily on her, and she wasn't sure if she had the time or energy to invest in a relationship that could potentially take her further from that dream. Pedro, on the other hand, was in a different place. He had become the top real estate producer at his company, a status he was incredibly proud of. He had recently splurged on a luxury car, the ultimate symbol of his success. Yet, despite his material gains, he was still struggling with an internal battle, the question of what he wanted for his future. When Pedro and Sophie spent time together, it was clear they enjoyed each other's company, but the differences in their long-term desires seemed to be growing. Sophie wanted children sooner rather than later, and Pedro wasn't sure he was ready for that commitment. Chapter 5. Moving on. Days passed, and the air of mystery surrounding Pedro and Sophie began to settle. While neither of them publicly addressed their relationship, the signs were there. They were not together, at least not in the traditional sense. Sophie returned to her life in the UK with her husband, Rob Warren, and Pedro continued his successful journey in the US, focusing on his career and personal growth. Yet, the connection between them wasn't entirely severed. They continued to text, sending each other updates on their lives. Pedro shared photos of his fitness journey, while Sophie posted images of her travels. Their communication remained sporadic, but it was clear there was an unspoken bond between them. Despite the public denials, Pedro's fans couldn't help but wonder if this chapter in his life had simply been a pause. Had he and Sophie explored something that didn't work out? Or was there a future for them, one they weren't quite ready to reveal to the world yet?